All
Oh,
right. We are live. We
hey.
are live. I gotta get our comments up over here so we can see our comments and we can start having our conversation once we get some people coming in. But I am so glad that we are able to do this together. We talk all the time, but
Yeah.
to let people be privy to some of our
No.
conversations,
That's
yeah, so
sweet.
we definitely can't be privy to all of them, but just to give people a glimpse into what we do behind the scenes. I think that sometimes people forget. We were talking about that post the other day where somebody was complaining about something the author did. Hey,
Mhm.
Marshall. Hey, whoever that is. Hey, Facebook user, because that's what it says.
I know. I saw that and I was like, I want to be like, hey, Facebook. Um, but I'm gonna need them to, identify the people.
right, right. So as y'all come in, hey, Tay.
They say
Hey,
time.
friend. I think that because we were talking about somebody complaining about something, and I think that sometimes people forget that we are just human beings trying to produce something, and I guess they think it's like a factory or something. I'm not sure, but just to kind of have some downtime where we don't have to necessarily be on and just can kind of be ourselves. So that's really my goal with my conversations. Hey, Josh.
What up, Joss?
Josh, you ready to go back to school? Are y'all schools opening back up? Because if that's happening, it should be happening in the next couple of weeks, huh? That
No.
would be terrible. Yeah,
I just broke
yeah.
my freaking charger.
You broke your charger?
Yeah, well, it was like broken on its own, and now, oh, you can't see it because my fat fingers, but it's like split. Can you see that?
Oh, uh-huh. I can see that. Yeah, yeah, that's
Oh,
pretty bad.
Chad, I don't even know where another charger is. I'll let this phone die. I don't care. I'm not on my out. Oh my
Right.
goodness.
Hey everybody. Hey, so I am here today in another episode of Chatting with Bailey. And I have the pleasure of chatting with one of my author friends, Nicole Falls. So hey, hey, hey. I'm so excited because like I was saying, we talk all the time. She is one of the authors in this community that I'm closer to. And so we have lots of conversations. She also edited my last book, which was amazing. I don't know if anybody has ever had anything edited, but getting that back from the editor, like you really feel like really insignificant and diminished. Like, yeah, I really thought I was jamming. Woo, this is terrible. So,
You know what?
um,
Not to cut you off, but people always say that, like when they get their doc back from the editor, like, oh, it was just so demoralizing because they open it up and like when you open it up, the first thing you see is that little panel and it tells you how many like revisions, insertions, whatever. And so people see that, and if they think that it's a number that's well beyond the threshold that they thought it should be, that's when they start like freaking out. But y'all don't realize that some of those like revisions aren't really true revisions. It's dumb stuff like, oh, your spacing got off here, so I had to readjust that. Like, it's not necessarily anything that's in your text or your writing. A lot of it is like formatting crap, but unfortunately, the way Word is set up, it sort of lumps everything together. And so whenever people are like, oh, see, I opened it up and it said I had 1,500 revisions. And I'm like, well, if your editor is like me, she probably went through and reformatted your entire document. So that's why you have so many.
yeah, but I don't mind. Just fix me. I'm the friend that if my skirt and my pantyhose, gonna pull it out. Let me know if I got some broccoli in my teeth. Breath stink. Pat me on my shoulder. So I don't mind. I appreciate it. So we just gonna have a conversation tonight, like I've done with all of my past guests, and just kind of chop it up. So one of the things that we and in our many conversations, I realized that there are some things that I've never really talked about with you. But do you have a favorite sitcom?
So I'm not really a big TV person.
Mm-hmm.
I I should say that I don't make an effort to watch new shows. I do have like some of my tried and true favorites from back in the day or whatever. But even that, I don't do a lot of like just watching of any sort of like visual media that often. Like I don't have a TV. Um, and when I do like turn something on, I'm normally like streaming, but sitcoms, I don't know, man. Like of course, like all the black classics, like, Good Times and All in the Family, like Jeffersons, and then like the Cosby Show. I mean, you get into Martin, Living Single, all that. I think like probably like the anything that starred a major black person from the years of 1984 to 2000 and a half. Not even 2001, but 2000 and a half.
Yeah, I mean most of us are the same way. I still pretty much watch TV, but I find myself I record a lot because I can't watch nothing. Like I don't have the patience to watch things live anymore. But you did mention something about, didn't you recently watch on Netflix the show about the surprise wedding?
I did. See, I don't like to watch like scripted television, but I will watch not even reality because I don't really do like the Housewives and the Black Inks and all that. But like I don't know how to describe. I guess that would be technically a reality show. The show I'm talking about is Say I Do on Netflix, where they like had all these couples. I think it was like 8 couples, and one of the people in the couples wanted to surprise the other with a wedding, and every freaking story was sad. Every episode has some tragedy. Like first episode, the girl lost her daddy and her sister within like 6 months of each other. These are not spoilers because this is real life people. So every episode where it was like some kid, like they were poor or whatever, and all they had was one pair of pants, but she didn't mind it and they was friends, and then he reconnected with her 20 years later, and you watch it every freaking episode like this. Like, hold on, I got props on everything. So you watch it every freaking episode, and it's just like it's so beautiful. Like, this is real. Like, this is love right here. This is it. This wow.
Exactly.
Wow, the power. Yo,
exactly.
I was like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to yourself? But it was really compelling. And I kind of want to write somebody having a surprise wedding now.
Although, you already know somebody having a surprise.
I know, wedding. But I would like to do it again.
I mean, you can. You have the liberty.
Do I really? Because I'm pretty sure somebody I did that.
Right.
But yeah.
I thought the show was. I watched the first. So I watched the first couple that they were black, and then the second couple with the kids that was adopted, and they had to take a while for the kids to get used to them.
Yeah.
And then I kind of skipped them and went to the next black couple.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought theirs was nice too. But you're right, that first one was really had me in my feelings. I'm like, why did she have so much tragedy?
So much tragedy. I was like, what's going on in Cincinnati? Like, girl.
So I was talking to a colleague, and she took a creative writing class, and so she wants to write a book.
Okay.
And she was like, well, I was taught that if I just write 1,000 words every day, after so many days, I'll have a full book, and that's what I plan on doing.
That's cute. That's cute that you think that you're gonna write 1,000 words every day, all of the days in a row. That's cute.
Girl, you will kill yourself trying to hold yourself to a schedule like that. So my question is for you: do you have any sort of protocol for creating a novel? How does it come to you, and then how do you pace yourself or whatever to finish it?
So every project that I've ever had has normally started off with, what if this person meet this person? And I don't know shit else except for those two people meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I should take it back. Almost every novel is like that, where the people come to me first, and then I figure out everything else is going in the background. And then you get other times when inspiration strikes after I have had some of my medicine, and um, I like in a rush, like the entire storyline comes to me. Like the thing that I'm working on currently, which I'm not going to talk about publicly, that's how that story came to me. Like the entire conception of it, like you saw the notes for it. Like I typed all of that up in like less than 10 minutes. Like it all just came to me like that. And those books are always the most fun to write normally. Because everything just seems to sort of fall into place. Like the change up was like that for me. I was in Memphis for the Beloved Productions, not productions, publications, or it could be productions. Maybe they're getting into movies. I just spoke that over.
Make it better to the atmosphere.
Right. PLP's Winter Wonderland event that I had done, and so I was in town for that. And the night before that I was going home, like I was just texting with a friend, like frustrated because I couldn't figure out what I was doing. And she's like, "Didn't you say we're gonna write about a baseball girl? Why don't you write that book?" And like that one offhanded text that she sent me, like was like, "All right, boom, let's go." My brain just started spiraling. And it got to the point where like I had the entire book outlined. I normally don't do outlines at all. I had even gone as far as to like legitimately create the like social media and email accounts for the characters, because I thought that I was going to do promo that incorporated some of that stuff a bit more. Like I was deep in the weeds with it. And once I started writing it, like it just flowed. Like I didn't say that I was going to write X amount of words per day. I do that sometimes, like if I'm unsure of the entire framework of the article. I mean, of the project, I'll like set up a pacemaker, which is this pacemaker is just but it's a website where you can sort of like put your goals in. So you can say, hey, I want to write this thing. I think it's going to be this long. This is how much time I have to do it. You tell me how much I should write daily. And it lets you play with the variables about it a lot. You can do less and more on certain days, whatever. And so whenever I do a pacemaker, an interesting thing happens. I'm so far away from the word goal. Like it'll say you have to write 2,300 words in the day, and I'll write 112. Or I far exceed the goal.
Exactly.
So, you have to write 2,300 words a day, and I'll write 10,000. Those days are few and far between. But the other ones where you don't quite make it to the mountaintop, those come up a bit more. Which ironically is like the season I'm in right now, even though I'm pressed to write this book. And it's just like, I don't know, man. I feel like whenever I try to put too harsh of a parameter on me, or like try to rein it in and say, okay, I know that this thing is going to be this. My brain be like, no, girl.
Yeah.
We ain't going. Like, absolutely not. Like, no, I will shut down and you will write 0 words.
I'm the same way. Pacemaker stresses me out, and I try every time. And I always, so for those of you guys that really don't know what pacemaker is, it's like a spreadsheet almost. And you put in, like Nicole said, your parameters, how many words you want to write, and when you want to be finished. And then it'll kind of give you a day-by-day total that you should reach. And when I tell you, I've never been successful with that at all. I like get stressed out immediately. When I see the numbers, my brain be like, girl, you out your mind. Like my characters look at me and walk away like they don't even talk to me. I cannot stick to it. I have tried and tried and tried. It just don't work. And if it tell me a date, like I put that date in, it'll be 2 months later. Like I cannot do it. But I keep trying to force myself, and I don't know why. But I keep doing it. So
Oh, I see Marshall asking what I'm working on right now, Marshall. Um, uh, a story.
right.
It is. I'm not giving details, but I will try to talk about it in as vague terms as possible. I think I posted about it in my group the other day. So if you're a part of Nick's Nook, you know that it has something to do with Janet Jackson. And she's, and the other day, my friend, no. The other day, my friend Sherelle, shout out to her, Sherelle Green, great author. You should go read her stuff. She said, this book is a love letter from you to Janet. And I was like, ooh, okay. That might, I mean, kind of be true, but like not in a weird way.
Right.
But it definitely is. I mean, I've been a fan of hers since, the days of Control and Pleasure Principle, trying to do that damn chair thing and hurt myself. And so I think this idea it's really big at the outset, but I feel like it if I hit all of the notes that I need to hit, it's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be amazing. I know that it is. It's just that it really is, like she said, a homage to somebody that you look up to, and that you're a fan of to a certain extent. So that may be why it's a little something to it, but it's gonna be amazing. I can't wait to read it. I cannot wait to read it. So how you been coping with? Oh, so let's go to this question before I go to that. So on that same note, so you posted in your group and you asked people which of your stories was their favorite.
Yeah.
Were you surprised by the answers?
So here's where we discover that I don't remember things for longer than 16 hours. So I don't remember what the majority of the answers were. But I'm pretty sure I was surprised by an answer or two. I actually want to go pull it up real fast to see if I can find the post. Probably not, because I'm not really good at searching on Facebook, but I'm going to try to find it. Because it has a picture.
Well, you know what I said my favorite one was, but I remember that you had said something along the lines that you were kind of surprised by. Maybe those weren't the words, but by some of the.
Oh, I found it. Hold on, let's see.
Okay.
Where are you at? Bailey West. Okay, so a few of them I was surprised by, actually. Now that I'm going through these, it's very interesting to me that some people said that Someone Seeking Someone Else was their favorite, because that is the book that I've gotten the most shit about, and not in a good way. Like, people were, I don't know, they wasn't rocking with that. So when I saw people saying that was their favorite on their post, I was like, excuse me?
Really?
You, when I was reading the first reviews for that book and people were talking about how they hated my characters. Yeah. So that seeing that book up there shocked me. And I'm always shocked that people who say Adore You is their favorite. All shade. Because I've written so many better books. But I mean, that could be a whole sentimental favorite that was the first one kind of deal. But yeah, anytime someone says that, I'm like, okay, have you read anything after 2018? Because that's when your girl was in her bag, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that my favorite is, well, I like them all, but of course, Road to Love, because I was intimately a
Yeah,
part of the creation
yeah, yeah.
of it, and I remember when you had talked about the premise, and I thought that it was so deep, but it was so cool at the same time because it really did bring a whole depth to both of those characters, but especially Emerson, and so that's definitely one of my favorites. Um, and what about, do you have a favorite?
So yes, most people would answer that question no, but I actually do have a favorite. And it's probably not necessarily for the right reasons,
Hmm.
so to speak, but it's just because it was there for me when I needed it to be there for me. Um,
Hmm.
and that's Last First Kiss. I was actually writing that um, while watching my aunt pass away from pancreatic cancer.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot to bear, because we had lost another aunt to cancer not long before that. So, whoo, child, watching like somebody literally die is the pits. Would not recommend. 10 out of 10 would not recommend. And so I really leaned heavily on writing just to take me out of my day to day because yeah, it wasn't like she was dying from afar. Like we didn't live far from each other. So
Hmm.
whenever she needed help, my mom was going over there and taking her doctor's appointments and things like that. And so, um, yeah, man, uh, Last First Kiss, she gets paid so much dust, but I don't care. I love her. She's my favorite until this project that I'm working on right now is done because I'm
Okay.
hoping that this will be my favorite and nothing will be able to unseat it no matter what.
Mm. Mm. So somebody said uh that F and fall in love is their consistent thing. I remember when you said you were gonna write that, I was like, no, she's not gonna write that. But
Yeah,
you did.
I
But
still
you
can't believe
did.
that I got away with writing that. But somebody told me, they said only you could get away with writing that.
Yep. 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 Only you. Only you. So don't you hate, I was just thinking about as you were talking about your aunt, and I remember when you had to go through that. But don't you hate when you tell somebody, a story and they try to trump yours with a worse story?
Girl,
They always got to tell you about when their family member died.
me,
Like, I
me, me
didn't ask
too. It was
you.
like this. I was sharing about me and mine. And I think people have like the common misconception that like most often other people actually care about, like if I'm sharing something about myself and then you just come in volunteering, like I'm probably not in the space to receive that because like
Correct.
clearly, but people don't like be reading that. They don't be reading that at all, which is wild to me.
Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. Nope, they don't. You always have somebody be like, "Well, you lost an aunt. I lost an aunt, a cousin, and a sister. All it's like, why do you have to trump my
Of
just
course, I did not know
okay?"
that we were in competition, friend. What's up?
Sometimes people just don't know what to say. But like, this is not your turn. It's not your turn. I didn't ask you. You asked me. So people are something else. So in that same vein, I guess, how have you been faring with COVID?
Well, it waxes and wanes. Sometimes I forget, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
like that the pandemic is actually happening, but the extent to which it really affects my life. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Cause like I've been in the house, like regardless, I've been in the house, because it's why I work at now. But so, um, man, Friday, March 13th, 2020 was quite literally the last day that I felt normal,
Mm.
which is wild to say. But honestly, like, and even that day was kind of crazy because I, it wasn't a normal day for me because, like, normally I would have been at the coffee shop writing. from 9 to 1, and then after that, I go home, get some lunch, chill for a couple hours, go pick up the kid from his sports, all that stuff, and then be ready to start the weekend. But that day, actually, I didn't go to the coffee house at all. I was in the city, like downtown Chicago, picking up something. Um, and then the kid called me. He's like, "Yeah, they're dismissing us from school right now, and I don't know when we're supposed to go back because it was like right before their spring break." So yeah, man, so much happened in such a short period of time that I think to say that I'm coping with COVID would be a lie. But I guess I'm just slowly but surely adapting my life for this quote unquote new normal. But I gotta be honest, I have been pissed so much during all of this because and this is supposed to be the year for me, right? I'm off it right now, but like I quit my job in August of 2019. 2020, Nicole Falls, boss of the wall. This is it. And then we get 3 freaking months in. All this shit happens. We have this idiot in the White House who can't even navigate us through this properly. And not only do we have to like contend with this stuff happening in the real world, but also when you are a creator of worlds, particularly one who specializes in contemporary times, you are in a really, really messed up place right now because you're sort of charged to reflect the times in which you're living through your art.
Right.
But also, nobody wants to write 500 goddamn books about the quarantine and COVID and shelter in place. And I'm tired of it. And so it's been like really difficult for me to create. Because it's just like, I have to make all of these decisions that necessarily weren't a part of my process before whenever I start something new. And it's essentially like, okay, do I want to completely ignore life as it is and just write this thing? Or does it have to be included in some way because it would be a real life thing that my characters would deal with if they were people who existed? And I'm sick of this shit. Like I don't want nobody wearing masks. I'm sorry. You'll be all nice and don't be saying bad words. And I'm just saying bad words, just all of them. But I don't want to write nobody wearing no masks. I don't want to write about vaccines. I don't want to write about any of that. Like I just want to write my sweet, simple love stories where the people, get together. Somebody put a thumb in somebody else's butt, good times are had by all. Right.
Okay.
But you can't do that now. You can't even do that now.
No, you can't. You better put some gloves on. I think that when everything first started happening with Corona, a lot of us were like, this is not going to touch us for real. I'm not really concerned about it. So I remember them at my job was like, if you are concerned about Corona, then send us an email, and you can go ahead and start and work from home until, we get this figured out. So I really didn't have a concern, really. But I was like, I'm concerned. Email sent. I'm going to stay home. Thinking that would last maybe a week. Girl, I've been home since like March the 10th.
Meanwhile, 21 weeks later.
Yes, still home. And so when I knew that we would be home indefinitely, I said, this will give me tons of time to really just create these characters, really get into these books, pump them on out. Can't pump nothing.
Sounded real good.
Hey,
And,
it's really messing me up.
and it's wild because it's affecting everyone in such different ways.
Yeah.
Even like, in my friend groups, um, like authors and non-authors alike, like the things that people are like doing and getting into during this time have been interesting because there have been some people who are like me where it's just like, okay, girl, I'm trying. I ain't really doing a lot, but I'm trying as much as I can to do something. And then I have like my other friends who are like on the completely opposite end of the spectrum, and they're like, girl, I'm doing all of the things. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
doing them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have some people who just have like just completely just been out the game. Like, okay, well, I'm not even trying, not even going to attempt to do anything because everything's horrible and I hate it.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, man. Like I'm ready to break out of this slump, and I'm hesitant to even call it a slump for me personally because I keep saying that I haven't written anything this year. That's a lie. I've written 5 things
Mm-hmm.
of varying lengths. Nothing has been a full length project, and I think if I recall correctly, in my projections for the year 2020, I was supposed to have released 2 novels by now because we're almost at the end of July. So yeah, the second novel that I was supposed to release was supposed to come out 2 weeks ago, I think. And so clearly that didn't happen. I don't even know when that thing is coming out because yeah, it's not just me. And so it's just I don't know, man. Like this is something that I could have never predicted experiencing in my lifetime, and I don't know that there is necessarily a real end date in sight, right? Um,
Right.
because we can't manage to keep it under control now under our current leadership, um,
No.
and it does not seem to be sort of corralling itself in. At this
Mm-mm.
point,
Mm-mm.
we're steadily seeing numbers increase and flare ups in different parts of the country, depending on how open or closed they are to others coming through their borders, and it's so dang on much, man. It's just
It
like
is. It's
everybody
a lot.
like I remember at the beginning of spring, everyone was like, "Oh, by summertime, we're gonna be back out kicking it," and it's like, no, sis, we probably not gonna really be kicking it for real until like June of 2021. Like, I don't even know
Mm-hmm.
if even then, like, what the world is gonna look like. But damn, man, I tell you what, if COVID-19 was a person, she could square up right now,
I
undoubtedly.
know.
Because she took so much from me this year, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm really struggling with trying to see why. Because that's my
Yeah.
whole thing. Like I everything happens for a reason. That's just a belief that's always been grounded in like even the bad stuff. You don't want to admit it, but even the bad things have their place. And I'm just trying to figure out, okay, what are the things that I should be learning from where I am right now? What
Yeah.
are the things I need to focus in on? What are the things I need to not let affect me? What are the things I need to do better? What are the things I need to do more of? What do I need to do less of? Like all of that is sort of like running commentary in my head whenever like some event that shakes my world in the way that something like this has
Yeah.
hers. And I'm I have no answers to any of these questions yet, which is really not good for me because I like to know things. So yeah, man.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that I have learned during this time, I heard somebody tell the story of parable, and the end of the story really what the question is really what is good and what is bad,
Mm,
because we know that everything will work out for us on some level in the end.
yep.
But we can't necessarily label it good or bad because we don't know what is keeping us from or what is taking us to. but it is frustrating because you don't know why it's happening when it's happening.
Yep.
But we can all say that we have overcome 100% of the obstacles that we face in our life to this point. So we know that we can get on the other side of all of this. But it's frustrating because it's not in our hands.
Yep.
And it's not something that we can really take control of, and the leadership that we have, like you said, is not blending itself well to conflict resolution, but they're just, throwing fuel on the fire and making things hard. But I have to remind myself every day, of that parable, what is good and what is bad, for real. Because I know that if I can make it out of everything that I have made it through to this point, then I'm going to come out of this. And when you go into anything with a mindset of what am I supposed to learn, and you are looking in that situation at that time for whatever it is that you're supposed to get out of it, you'll find it, and then you'll be able to look back and be okay.
I honestly think that, too many people don't look at things that occur in their lives and figure out, okay, what's the lesson here, right?
Yep.
So many people, either they get stuck in like the cycle of victimhood and, the martyr thing, and why me? The Nancy Kerrigan, why me?
Yeah.
When you operate from a place of, okay, I need to interrogate this to know the root cause. You're not always going to find that root cause, but doing that bit of soul searching, deeper looking, like actually paying attention to the cause and effect and how things interact with each other in life. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. I think that a lot of people could afford to do that, if only to expand their own mindsets. Like, daily.
Yeah.
I never want to stop learning, right? From the day I drew my first breath to the day that I draw my last. Like, I never want a day to go by where I haven't learned something new.
Right. It's important. It's important. And when it all first happened, I reflected on the thought that it was a time for us to really renew and refresh, reevaluate the things around us, the people around us. And it has really afforded us that. But the hardest part with it is there's no end in sight.
Mm-hmm.
You know how it's easier to go through something like when you exercising.
Yep.
And they say 5 more, and you just count down 5. Okay, 4. Okay, 3. Because it's an end in sight, so you go ahead and push them out. But with this, you keep. Now we're in a whole nother like recycle. Like, now what do I learn? Like, now what do I do? Am I gonna have to go back into the house? Are we gonna have to do things differently? Do I need to stock up on toilet paper? Because it's a whole COVID has given us a whole nother job, whole nother thought process. So it's been hard. And it's been particularly hard, like you said, on those of us that are creative, because I too do not want to create a COVID world. I just don't.
I mean, it's just, I'm sorry, but it's not, well, I take that back. I was going to say it's not fun or sexy, but that's not true. It depends on your circumstance. Because I was so mad. I came up with a really good idea for a storyline that involved the quarantine, like all of that. But I can't write it because I already put out 2 projects that had a taste of the quarantine in it. I was like, I'm not about to be known as the Corona bitch.
The Corona collection, right?
Put them all together, okay? Corona tale.
Right.
But it's just so frustrating, though. It's honestly like just really frustrating. But I mean, I've managed to cobble together a couple few words, so
yeah,
I can't.
You have. I started something, and I keep talking about this. I started something, and I was forcing it, so I stopped.
Yeah.
And then I had another idea, so I started working on that. But I think that my creativity really flows when I have the opportunity to step outside of my normal environment and see different things,
Yep.
experience different things, and that's not happening at all.
Yeah.
So that's been hard. So Kanye for president, you voting?
No, tell you. Let me tell you one thing. I just said to my friend earlier, and I'm gonna censor it. I'm not gonna tell y'all what I said to her, because it was real bad. It was like some get me canceled bad. But I believe that anyone who would entertain the idea of voting for Kanye Omari West, um, I think that you should go make yourself a cocktail with bleach and drink that, because you might as well just sign your death certificate if you're taking him seriously. That man is in the throes of a manic episode. He is not well. Those succubi that are around him, known as the Kardashians, do not wish him well, because him being crazy is great for them. It's great business for them. You understand? Because inevitably, what is going to happen is that they're going to let him have free reign. Oh, you know that you have bipolar disorder, but you don't want to take your meds and you just want to be out here. Cool, do it. Because they are building a solid case for within the next 18 months to 2 years. We lost Bailey, but I'm still here. I'm talking to the rest of y'all. Kim is going to file for divorce and full custody of them kids. And it's going to be like, oh, where's Kanye at? Why doesn't he have custody of the kids? Because he's crazy, girl. Look at him. And then they're going to show all of the clips from Keeping Up with the Kardashians to tell the damn people that he's crazy. And it's gonna be a mess. Like, it's gonna be a hot mess. And I just honestly can't believe that people in this world are entertaining even the idea of him being anything more than a guy who makes subpar music at this point.
I know. It's scary to me. It's storming here, so if I pop out again, just keep it going, keep the party going. It's crazy to me that people people that care about him, and not necessarily the people that he lived with, are not saying, sir, you can't call it the birthday party and run for president. Like, he's running for president under the birthday party. That's not Republican Democrat birthday. That shows you that he's not okay. And then when he can say things like Harriet Tubman freed the slaves to give them so they could work for other white people, it's just so upsetting to people. But it makes me chuckle because I understand that he is not in his right mind. And people that have
for quite some time. I said he just hasn't been right for quite some time.
A long time.
And unfortunately, what happens far too often to people who have that sort of level of success is that they often alienate the people who should be around them in exchange for the people that they think that they now deserve to be around. And as a factor or a symptom of that, just a lot, like if your constitution wasn't strong before you entered into this industry, much like his, like he was always chasing recognition from when he first started. He was a producer, he was just doing beats, but he always wanted to be a rapper. He's on record, saying, I was out here just begging for people to listen to me. And now he finally, got his game up and he got to be the rapper and he got sort of those accolades. And he didn't know how to translate like all of the adoration that he'd been seeking all of this time and absorb it in a way that was healthy or whatever. And yeah, man, like girl, please go drink some bleach if you are thinking about.
And it's scary because we are in such a crucial time where if anything takes our attention from who we should be voting for, and it splits even a small percentage of the people off to do something else, we're going to be in a world of hurt.
Yep.
We got to get this guy out of office.
I mean,
So to have
dude,
somebody come in doing something stupid is just not the time.
it's not. And dude stole the first election. Like he did not win
Right.
that election the first time. So,
No.
I don't put it past him or people within his party to just really do some things that just, I don't know, man. Like I'm gonna need Kanye to go sit down somewhere.
Hey, somebody said people he surrounds himself with are yes men, opportunistic. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Since his mama died, yeah, because I think his mama really kind of helped him stay medicated and stuff like that. Or his mom could have been the contributing factor to
Yeah, the catalyst. Yeah.
his yeah, because losing a mom ain't no fun.
Mm-mm.
And somebody said that's the intention to split the vote. So let's hope that people are not smart enough to go for that, because that's what I was thinking of too. But in all honesty, Kanye really is in the throes of a manic episode. And if you're around anybody ever that has any type of mental disability, especially diagnosed mental disability, you know that they have those, and they'll do exactly what Kanye is doing. So it's just unfortunate they keep letting them loose. Cause he having rallies and everything. Like that is the craziest
Foolish.
thing. So
Foolishness.
so I was on the internet the other day and saw a photo of a guy. I don't know if you saw this. A guy holding a baby standing next to a pregnant woman. Did you see that picture?
Oh, what a dude. He got his little red beans and rice pregnant when the fried chicken was also pregnant.
Right.
Red beans and rice
So
delivered.
this guy, right,
Right?
this
But
guy,
he got a side chick pregnant.
yeah, he holding the baby that the side chick had while
Yeah.
posing with his pregnant wife, and said something along the lines of he was just glad that
He was like glad that
she
his
was.
wife like that she held him down or something like that or whatever.
Yeah, what you think about that?
Girl, if they like it, I love it. Uh I personally stay in single people's business because that is my business. I don't have no room or I don't have the license or the carte blanche to uh be concerning myself with married and or coupled people's business because it is not none of mine. I try to stay in the business that is mine personally, um,
Right.
because it's a lot happening in my business, like, yeah, I was just talking to somebody earlier, and we were talking about book bloggers and reviewers and things of that nature. And she said, she was asking, well, who are reviews for? And I said, I don't know, because that's not author business. That's reader business. And as an author, I stay out of reader business because that's theirs and this is mine.
Exactly. Exactly. Somebody said I saw that foolishness. Yeah, he was trash for posting that. Yeah, I mean
But was he trash for posting his truth?
right, because that's what I was gonna say. It's his life. It's his truth.
It's his life. It's his
It is.
truth. That's their business. Whether or not we think it's trash or whatever, that like, all of that is a projection of our morals and values on someone else's life, which is a large percentage of the problems with social media in general. Is that people love to project what they hold true and near and dear onto other people's lives when you don't even have the right to do that. Like, who are you? Like, if they like that shit, they like it. It's not your life. You don't have to deal with it. You don't even have to have an opinion on it, really, because it doesn't belong to you. Like, it's theirs.
Yeah, it's his life, and it's her life, and it's her choice. Somebody said I think it was trash. I think it was tacky. Just tell the lady thank you. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is, but it's his life. It is. They made that decision. They gonna have a blended ish family, and that's how that's gonna
No,
work.
it
Because I don't know if they just blended ish. So it is what it is. I thought that it was hilarious that he would have the courage to post it. knowing the backlash that they would get, because like you said, even with good things or bad things, people are very opinionated.
Yeah.
And they don't hold back their opinions.
No, they don't. And sometimes,
Period.
if we're being honest, sometimes your opinion is not needed. I think about this a lot because I will post things, and I often wish that on Facebook I could turn off the comments. Because sometimes I'm just posting because I want to get this thing out of my head and I really don't care what anybody else thinks about it. But unfortunately, and what happens most often, undoubtedly, is someone will come onto the post to tell me how they feel as if I care. And it's normally someone who's coming in with a dissenting opinion or coming in to be contrary Mary. And I'm just like, why do you think that I care about this though?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do you think that what you have to say matters in this moment if I'm expressing this opinion?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just it's the way it's set up, and I don't think that was the original intention for social media.
Yeah.
But it's just that we all have an opinion and we're gonna share it, whether somebody asks or not a lot of the time, which is, what we do. Which brings me to
So
my
here's my
question.
question, right? I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
if you post a status and you say, I love chocolate chip cookies, they're my favorite. Oh my gosh, yes, chocolate chips. Right. So you post that, and then like one person comment and they like, yeah, chocolate chip cookies is cool. I like them too. And then person number 2 comes in and is like, both of y'all is trash. How could you ever like chocolate chip cookies? You want to go like peanut butter. You don't ever want to beat person number 2 ass.
Yeah. And you find that so often.
And that's what social media is turning into, man. Like, people are so emboldened to talk mess and to, go back and forth with people, and to, get the jokes off because jokes always trump facts. At least that's in my world. But sometimes you have to think about the jokes that you're getting off. Like, what's the root of this? Like, what's the purpose? Like, I'm just thinking about, all the entanglement mess and, how all of that went out and everybody had the jokes, everybody got the memes of Will and, the memes of Jada, whatever. And I'm just like, at what point, I guess, do we forget that the people behind these screens are real, and that the things that you say actually have ramifications? Because that's another thing.
That's a great question. That's a great question. And I think that it really does round me out to the question that I wanted to ask you about reviews.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had discussions about reviews, and I was looking at a thread the other day where somebody was saying that they, what do you say to an author, or what review do you leave when you read their book and their book is garbage? How do you review that?
Yikes.
And so it made me cringe because, for us, when we put out books, those books are an extension of us. Mm-hmm. They're our intellectual property. They're our art. Yep. And I hate that Amazon gives people the ability who are unfamiliar with any process that you go through to get there to give their opinion on something that they don't know anything about, and they'll critique your book. They'll give you stars on your book based on whether or not they like the character, or your character name was stupid, so I'm gonna give you 1 star.
Yeah.
So what do you say about reviews, or how do you feel about them? Can they be constructive criticism, or do you think that is necessary? What's your opinion?
So reviews are not my business. And I'm going to tell you why. Because a lot of reviews are not written for the author. A lot of reviews are written for people to get these words off, and to posit themselves or position themselves as an authority figure about this particular thing. So I'm here to tell you that this thing is either good or bad, and these are the reasons why. But what we always have to remember is that people's reaction to and the way that they process and receive art is always what? Subjective. So I don't really put a lot of stock into reviews, um, just because it's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
I had to really like work to come to that place. I don't even like I'll look at the first couple of reviews on a book like right after it's released, like within that first week or whatever. But beyond that, I cannot be beholden to what someone else's opinion of my art is because I know what I wrote. I know the intent behind it. I read every single word in the book and I didn't skim to get to the part where somebody put the thumb in the butt. Um, so with that, um, there's not much that a layperson can tell me that I think is constructive criticism as far as storycraft and character development and things like that. So your average
Mm-hmm.
reviewer is not really gonna move me to think, oh, well, this is the thing I need to change. But if I'm handing my work to a peer, or if I'm handing my work to, um, a peer or someone who is above me in station with regard to this writing thing, right? And they come back with some feedback, I'm more willing to take that into consideration. I probably am not going to change anything regardless because I said what I said. But I'm more likely to take those sorts of things into consideration better as constructive, as opposed to just some random person who has an Amazon account who downloads the book and may or may not look like it. And that
Mm-hmm.
might sound elitist. That might sound like I don't value the opinion of readers, which is not true at all. You're more than welcome to feel how you feel about my books. Um, I am not in charge of validating those feelings either way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not uh, personally affected by those feelings either way. Um, because it's just not my business.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I can't say that enough, and it sounds flippant and like I don't care, but in all honesty, I know that I work really hard to curate experiences that I want people to walk away with from my books, and whether or not people get there is not a reflection on whether or not I did what I set out to do. So,
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think that that if we could help, or if other younger authors coming into the game would understand that earlier, it
mhm.
would help, because it really is something that you have to get to.
Yep.
Like, it's not, you don't walk into it and be like, I don't give a damn about you think you don't do that, because you really do. Those reviews for you initially are heavy.
Yes.
You feel
Yes.
like these people, and then some people have set themselves as the authority,
Mhm.
but that's only because they just keep posting stuff on Amazon.
Yep.
They don't have any credentials or any backing to say that they're an authority, but they have set themselves up to be that. And so coming into the industry new, you feel like, oh, if they don't, oh my goodness, I
Yep.
really want to make sure that this is what everybody is feeling when I wrote this and blah blah. But once you get to a certain point, then you just, like you said, you read every word and you put out what you do, and it's your art, and how you receive it is how you receive it. May not be how I intended you to receive it, but it just is what it is.
Yeah, um it's just personally better for me if I don't give all of that too much credence. Like
Mhm.
I used to be really bad about it in the beginning. Like I would read all of the reviews and I would take all the bad ones to heart so much. And I just had to realize that like this that don't got nothing to do with you. Like that is not if I let every bad review where somebody said something, prime example, I had a review on a book, 2-star review. The person told in the review, they said college educated people would not speak the way that you have them speaking in this book, yada, yada, yada. At the time, I had like 4.5 degrees. I don't know. College educated. Y'all clearly hear how I talk. My characters talk the same way I talk. Like sometimes subject verb agreement is there, sometimes it don't be. Like you know, and it's
Right.
wild to me that people project, you know, their expectations onto a project instead of just reading what's on the page and accepting what's on the page.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the same way about bloggers. As far as their opinion, I hold in much more weight than anyone else's. Absolutely. I feel like um, it's all subjective. Like all of it is opinion based. So I can't give someone um, too much leeway, I guess, to control how I compose.
Yeah.
And when you feed into reviews and particularly bad reviews where a person decides that they want to go through and point out every single thing that they did not like. Some things can be petty quibbles, other things can be, more major issues. Like one thing, that could just say, um, like for an example, like someone can comment on like, oh, this person needed a better editor or something. They should have fine tuned yada yada yada. Things like that. Okay, right on. Maybe I do need to find somebody to tighten this up a bit better, right? That's stuff where you can take it and it rolls off your back, grain of salt. But
Mm-hmm.
then you get the other sort of bad reviews where it turns a corner and it becomes cruel, right?
Yep.
Start personally attacking the person behind the words. Um, those are the reviews that I wholeheartedly believe that no one should ever take to heart. Um, and I've seen some bloggers do that, a few times where it just got, a little nasty regarding their opinion. And I'm just like, there's a way to state your opinion and not be a jerk about it. And there's a way to say, I don't like this thing and this is why, without gleefully tearing someone down. Um,
Yeah.
and that happens way too often in these reviews where for me to feel comfortable taking much of it to heart. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to me,
Yeah, because you are in a sensitive place when you are creative. You're open to a lot. Um because we have to be sensitive to what we're hearing so that we can create and tell these stories, and that comes with a whole level of awareness that people, I don't think people really understand. So when you are open like that and you absorb things, you have to be careful with what you absorbing because those things can cripple you. So you have to get to a point where people's opinions are just that, their opinions, and artists, like you said, is subjective. I remember going to the Guggenheim the Guggenheim Museum in New York and saw a lady went for an art exhibit, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just was trying to be fancy. But she I walked into this room, a white room, and it was just big giant square canvases with lines on them. Just straight lines, just black graphite pencil straight lines.
yeah.
And so I put my hand on my hip and I kind of looked back and looked, and I'm like, so then I was like, oh, maybe it's one of those optical illusions where you like got to put your nose in, then pull back slowly. It wasn't. It wasn't. So then I was like, am I being pranked? But then I just saw people. I mean, I stood in there a good solid 12 to 15 minutes trying to figure out what the heck was going on. And then I realized that this artist only painted and drew in straight lines.
Mm,
No color, no nothing. And the entire Guggenheim Museum in New York was full of her stuff. And people were like standing there like with notebooks and they were like, this is just, and I'm like, it's a straight line. Like, come on, y'all. It was straight lines close, straight lines forward, apart. Like, it was just straight lines. The whole circle up to the top museum. But what I learned from her, and now she has become my inspiration because I realized that as an artist, there's space for you.
Yeah.
Period. I she just draw straight lines and she like immortalized forever, and there's
Yeah.
nothing to it but just straight lines. But that's her art,
Yeah.
and that's who she is. I may not understand it, but it was a bunch of people in that museum that was really admiring it, and so I I've learned that about myself, that the best thing to do is just stay in my lane and do what I do.
And um, I think it would behoove readers to do the exact same, right?
Mhm.
So a Nicole Falls book is not going to be a Bailey West book. It's not going to be a Tay Russ book. It's not going to be a Christina C. Jones book. It's not going to be a Love Belvin book. It's not going to be a D. Camille book. It's not going to be an Alexandria House book. And when I say that, I'm just saying, all of the ladies I named and the countless others who I just didn't in that short example, um, write under the umbrella of Black romance, right?
Correct.
But the
Correct.
paths that we all take are varying and different.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so when you approach a work from someone, I just think that it would behoove you to sort of like let go of all your preconceived notions of what you think it's supposed to be based upon other books that you've read by other people in the past, and
Right.
accept the work for what it is in front of you by who it is.
That's great advice. That's great advice. It really is. And I hope that we all can heed to that. I
I mean,
think that
I fall in the trap of not doing it all the time either. Like I'm not absolving myself I'm not above it all. And I know a lot of the things that I said tonight have made me kind of seem like I'm above it all, but I'm not. Like I still fall prey to reading bad reviews and internalizing that, but then I let that shit go. So I just think that it's important though, and this is the thing that I've probably has learned more recently than anything else, though. But to just um, stop trying to make things what I want them to be and accept it for what it is.
mm,
That goes for people. That goes for books. That goes for a wine. That goes for anything. Because when I'm projecting my expectations onto a thing, um, it could do one of two things. It could either, oh great, it meets my expectations. This is lovely. This is great. This is wonderful. It falls short, and now I'm condemning it because it fell short of what I thought it should be, as opposed to me just taking it at face value for what it was.
hmm no, that's good. I think that the only thing that we can really put our expectations on is ourselves,
That's it.
and let everything else, because everything is created for a very specific reason,
Yep.
and we can't make a light bulb be a chair the
Yeah.
same way we can't make a chair glow. We have to accept it for what it is, and either like it or don't like it.
Yep.
But and so yeah,
And
right.
also, in that same vein, it's okay if you don't like something that everybody else likes. It's
Mhm.
perfectly fine.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
everybody else likes, I don't know, pickles with grape preserves on them, and
Right.
you try it and you like, oh girl, this pickle grape stuff, this ain't my joint. It's perfectly fine. You know what we
Yep.
don't need you to do? Parade everywhere you go and say, I don't like pickles and grapes. I don't like pickles and grapes. Because it gets to a certain point where it's like, okay, the people who do like pickles and grapes are tired of you popping up every time to tell them how much you don't like it.
Right. Exactly. That's so true. That's so true. That goes a long way. Cause like it's okay to have an unpopular opinion, but you don't need to write it under everybody's post.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
right. Uh. So you got something in the works now,
Yeah.
and where can everybody contact you? How can we find you?
I am currently not on the internet anywhere, but the places that I do hang out when I am allowed to be on the internet are most often the twitter.com/_ Nicole Falls. Um, and I am on Instagram the same way, _ Nicole Falls. I am on Facebook as author Nicole Falls. You can find me in my group on Facebook. If you go to facebook.com/groups/Nick's Nook, NICSNOOK. And I think that's everywhere I be on the internets. The places my alter egos hang out.
Well, I am so appreciative of you coming and hanging out with me tonight, and the conversation was amazing. Um, I particularly enjoyed your insight on the reviews. I think it's so good, and I think that we will all do well to know what's important to us and what's our lane, and stay in our own lane and do what we're
Yep.
supposed to do. We will be so much happier. Mind your business and drink your own water. Mind your own business and drink your own water.
Stay in your lane, no
Yeah,
swerving. Okay.
right. So thanks everybody for joining us. And next week I will have a panel of men, uh, married and single, and we'll be having a discussion of some questions from women to those men and get their responses. So I'm going to put a post in the group so we can add our questions to that. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks for joining. Bye.
Bye.